Hello everyone, in this video I'll be showing you a Bleed Nagakiba build guide for an Elden Ring. So this is an extremely powerful katana, and you can see it's a little bit longer than the uchigatana there. Size matters with this weapon, and I'll be showing you the full build here. This is going to be for level 150, but if you're level 100 or 200, I'll be talking about different stats that you're going to want to have. So we got the Blood Nagakiba offhand, we got the uchigatana. Now for our stats, I went 150 for our level here with 50 vigor, 22 mind, 30 endurance. This allows us to be able to get upwards of 56 poise without having to without going with a fat roll. We want to always be medium rolling with around 51 minimum, but 56 poise is a little bit better. It allows us to resist 2 late attacks. We also got 18 strength, which is the minimum requirement to equip this weapon, alongside 44 dexterity and 40 arcane with 15 faith. 15 faith will allow us to cast things such as flame grant me strength. I went with 40 arcane and 44 dexterity, as I found that was the best scaling for giving us the maximum amount of damage at this level. And as for our talisman, so I got the white mask to give us extra damage after bleed, as well as the Lord of Blood's exaltation, because we're going to be causing bleed quite frequently. I also got the Shard of Alexander. This can be swapped out because skills aren't really a huge focus of this build, so you can go with something like the Claw Talisman and do a bit more jump attacks, or even another defensive talisman, or the increasing the health talisman is another great one. Even the turtle talismans are great for recovering your stamina, but I'll just leave it as that. Also, the Rotten Wings sword insignia. You can also go with the winged sword insignia or the Millicent's prosthesis, as all of these are going to increase your attack power with subsequent attacks. And I also use the Dragon Crest Great Shield Talisman for increased damage negation. Also, if you equip raw meat dumplings, don't use them, but your Mimic will heal with them. So that can give your Mimic a little bit extra survivability. They also don't get poisoned by it. So I'm using also a Dragon Communion Seal for casting, as we do have a couple things like Flame Grant Me Strength. If you didn't infuse it with bleed, so we did go with the blood infusement on both of these. I'm using the double slash Art of War on this. Basically, Rivers of Blood at home. It's just similar weapon attack, but I'll be showing you another one that works extremely well with this. And then the uchigatana's got seppuku, which is actually quite nice because we can use this and it'll trigger the increased damage from the white mask and the Lord of Blood's exaltation. So before combat, we'll get increased bleed buildup as well as increased damage. So that's really nice. Now, typically how we want to approach combat, I also like to have Rotten Breath there because your Mimic can sometimes use that to spam and get Scarlet Rot off on the target. But we're going to use Flame Grant Me Strength to start, and then you're going to switch and use Triangle L1 to two-hand the uchigatana, and you're going to use seppuku there to give ourselves the blood loss, and then you can go back to using your using the Nagakiba there. So we'll just swap out the Nagakiba, and then we got the increased bleed damage there. So as you can see, a jump attack is going to do a lot of damage there, and subsequent attacks will continue to deal more damage. So this is the that's the double slash there, which is a really great Ash of War, but we're able to take out most of these targets with just 2 attacks. So just one single press of the L2 and we got most targets taken down by this. So that's nice. 1200 damage just with one single attack press is unreal. And then for the stronger targets, you can go in with the Ash of War there. And the nice thing is, the more attacks that you do, the more damage you're going to have dealing, because we have that giving us increased damage as we attack quicker. This is really powerful. We're taking out these guys much faster than with like any other build. And you can even just like two-hand the uchigatana if you really wanted to. It's got an incredible amount of damage, but the bleed buildup on both of these, it has 102 bleed buildup, but we get the increased damage and the increased blood loss from this. So very powerful build. And as I said, you could go with like the dexterity. You could go with just like a normal keen infusement and then use the blood flame blade. But this just allows us to increase the amount of blood loss per attack. So I'll be showing you another weapon art here that's going to be very powerful in addition to this. So put it on the Nagakiba again. We're going to go down to the bleed ones. Now this doesn't actually, despite being called Bloody Slash, this doesn't actually build up blood loss. So blood tax is okay too, but I think the Bloody Slash is probably the strongest here. As you'll see, it's able to one-shot people. So again, we'll be doing the classic Flame Grant Me Strength, and then we'll be switching this out to use the uchigatana, and then use this to be able to increase our damage. And then we'll just swap out, put the Nagakiba back on, and Blood Slash is going to do over 2,000 damage, 3,000 damage. It's crazy. So yeah, this does hurt you, so be mindful of that. Only use it in like situations where you want to deal a ton of damage. Additionally, you could also equip something like, if you wanted to take off the Shard of Alexander, even though it's going to give us increased weapon damage, or skill damage, you can go with something like the Taker's Cameo to give yourself extra health. So if you're to take someone down with this, you're going to hurt yourself and then get your health back. So that can be a good way to mitigate that, since it's going to do a little bit of damage to you. And, oh, we lost him. But you can also just continue to stick with the classic Shard of Alexander, get increased damage, because the damage numbers that it does are just absolutely phenomenal. So yeah, this build is crazy because you get a lot of bleed buildup, you get a lot of damage, and even if you're not focused on bleed, you're still going to do a ton of damage between these two weapons. So that's a nice part about that. We also got pretty good jump attacks, so we got increased range for our attacks, which allows us to land more of them when we do jump attacks. But yeah, typically when you get into combat, you just want to press L1 a bunch, and then L2 for that blood slash there for extra damage. But overall, this weapon is incredibly powerful. I personally prefer the double slash because that's just a quick way to build up statuses. Another way that you could approach this, I'll just show you another weapon art that we can go with. So we'd go to the Ashes of War and go with the Blood Nagakiba, put it back to the double slash, but instead of going with a normal infusion, we'll go with a keen one. This is going to give us a little bit extra damage. And then on top of that, what we could do is we could equip some type of grease, because now we can apply greases to the weapon. I'd recommend freezing grease because this just does a ton of extra damage, and you can build up frostbite in addition to bleed damage. So we go through our normal, I guess I should have did that first. You need to do Flame Grammy Strength first, and then apply your weapon's grease here. So kind of a process, but you're going to see just quickly here, we got bleed on one, frostbite on another. It deals a ton of damage, and we're still able to one-shot there even without getting the blood loss trigger, which we're not even going to, we got too much damage to be able to deal the blood loss. But the nice part of frostbite grease is it's going to increase the overall damage that you deal to targets once you proc frostbite. So if you're fighting against a boss, that'll deal extra damage that you can further take advantage of, and then if you want, you can use fire damage to remove it, or you can just continue with the extra damage that you're going to have, which is always a fun thing to do. So we also got a really nice, if you dodge roll, use the L1 attack, because you can attack with both weapons, and it deals a ton of damage that way. So yeah, this build is incredibly powerful. I love the Nagakiba. It's a really useful weapon, so you can infuse it with whatever type of extra damage you want to go with. You could even go with something like the rot or go with the rot grease to apply scarlet rot really quickly, because the double slash just allows you to spam that. So yeah, there is an OP Nagakiba build in Elden Ring. If you found this video useful, please hit the subscribe button below. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you all in the next video.